you're doing the best you can, and that is enough. Introducing George Christodoulou in episode 203 of the BTS Creative Academy podcast, UNCUT, with me, your host, Martin Colton. So, welcome, George.
Here we are.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
We're here on the BTS Creative Academy podcast. Welcome
Great.
To the theatre today.
Very exciting. It's a great place as well.
Yeah, well, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're on the stage.
Do you know what? There's a huge light behind here, so I don't know how I'm looking on this side. So it's great.
Yeah. No, you're looking good, George. You're looking good. Thank you for joining me. So what I know of you is we've got a few mutual friends, I think.
Yes, a few.
I
don't think I know any of them. So it's
you don't know? Have you not worked with my brother? Did I not? I looked on your IMDb.
Yeah. Who's your brother?
My brother is Richard Colton.
Oh, is that your brother?
Dream hacker.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Okay, fine.
All right, there you go. So I looked on IMDb and I was like, oh, he's worked with my brother because you do
know Richard really well.
You do stuff in front of the camera, but you work behind the scenes as well.
I do, yeah. So, I know Richard really well, actually. So, how funny. It's one of those things when it comes to kind of networking, social media, you just add anyone and everyone, you get talking, and then I think later on, that's when they discover the conversation.
Oh, he's your brother.
Yeah, I had that once with a relative. Like, we were talking for ages, and I realised he was like my second cousin or something, and I was like, I did not know this. Okay, great.
Yeah. So it is a small world, isn't it? It's particularly in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
I think you can find the connections. As I've been doing this as well, but lots of people that have been on the podcast know other people that have been on it.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do you know them? And, people from the other side of the country knowing people this side of the country. But I think somehow these creative types, we find a way to connect, don't we? And
we
come
do,
together.
Yeah. I think because we're interested in the same thing and we want to get together and work together and try and make magic happen, as they say. So, that's how I sort of started out. I got to add loads of people, you meet loads of people, you network, you find out what they're doing, what you're doing, and then sort of try and come together, I guess.
Yeah, and you definitely can't do this alone.
No. I've always wanted to do a podcast, so this is very exciting. I was like, the amount of people I've tried to contact to say, really? Can I be on your podcast? Can I be on your podcast? And just never had my luck. And then this was very easy, so it's great.
I like to keep things quite simple, and I like it when things come my way.
Yeah.
And I always think that if someone reaches out to me, makes an effort to contact me, I will do my best to help or get that person involved in some way if I can.
Yeah, which is great.
But I've reached out to people in the past and had that experience myself of it not always being reciprocated or embraced when you reach out. So I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Especially in the acting world, that can be quite
sometimes
tough, can't it?
Sometimes there's silence, you don't hear anything, and then sometimes it's, you're on set the next day.
Yes, yeah.
So you never know, I guess.
It's a very, very unpredictable world. But one of the things you said in your message to me is you said, I feel like I've got a story to tell.
I have.
I feel like I've got something. So I'm keen to hear it. I want to hear your story.
Cut to, this is probably the most boring story in the world.
Don't put it down to start. Let's judge that at the end.
Exactly.
Let's go through it.
Well, I feel like I feel like I've kind of been in the industry now for so long, and I've just seen so much, and I've experienced so much. And, I see some of my favourite celebrities doing all these kind of podcasts, and I thought I'd give it a go. Yeah, sometimes I can talk for England, sometimes I'm really shy. So who knows how this is going to go.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely fine. We'll discover that as we go through, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of having these conversations. We can just find and discover ourselves within that. And don't over worry. The podcast has already started.
It has. I'm sweating
so
already.
We're already in it. No, there's. I like to think this is a place where there's. I've created an atmosphere where there's no sort of judgment here.
Yeah, exactly.
You I'd like to say you're free to tell your story as you want to. And I think there's a reason we have these stories. Mm-hmm. There's a reason we go through these things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what that reason is.
Me too. We'll find out when we get there.
But I'm sure that there is a reason.
Yeah.
And I think for me, listening to podcasts, I listen to other people's stories and what they've been through to give me strength in my life.
Yeah, you do. You sort of find out what other people have been through. You can relate in some way, which is always, feels a bit more comforting. You don't feel like you're alone.
Yes.
I used to be one of those people where I just think, oh God, not another one. Here we go. Another person with this, another person with that. But then actually it's quite good that they've spoken out, because it makes you really feel not alone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know so many people, everyone now these days are talking about anxiety, depression. And I think before I used to be that, I don't want to use the word judgmental, but I used to be like, oh God, another person with depression, another person with anxiety. But actually, the more people speak out, the more it's like, wow, I thought I was the only one going through it. So it makes me feel much kind of better in that sense that we're not alone. Yeah.
That feeling of alone is a terrible thing. Because I've been there where I've felt desperately alone. And hearing that other people have gone through that and come out of it is a really nice thing and really important thing. To know that you're not stuck. You're not necessarily going to be stuck there forever.
Exactly.
It may just be for this moment.
It's so easy to think in that space, this is going to last forever, but actually anything can happen in 6 months' time, even a week. So just your life can change in a good way, So you just got to hold on to hope. That's the main thing. I always say that to people, just have hope, just get through the end bit, and then once you're there, roll on the show.
Yeah, someone once said to me, life's a ride.
Yeah,
yeah, and
it is.
At some point you're going to be on the high, at some point you're going to be on the low.
Yeah,
and you just got to ride it.
Yeah,
you just got to go with it.
Exactly.
To get to the next thing.
And you've got to go through things as well to have life experience. I've known so many people who want to play at the safe card, but actually when I talk to them as a person, they're quite very sheltered, that they kind of can't relate or haven't been through that experience. And I find that actually the more, I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The amount of
we'll
shit
warn them.
just beep it out. The amount of shit that I've gone through or hear stories that other people, it just makes you more stronger, as cheesy as it sounds, but it really does, because it makes you more, us as humans, we learn, we take on different emotions, we absorb, we're all like a sponge, and the more we've gone through stuff, the more life lessons that I always say that I want to get to like 90 years old and be that person that has so many stories and just like every wisdom out there. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. And if you get, I think for me, if I went back in time 10 years ago from now and told myself all the things that I'm going to go through, I'd have gone, I can't make it through that.
I can't do it. Yeah,
I can't do that. I can't go through those things. But having come out the other side of it, gone through it, it's changed me and given me tools and it's, when I say tools, it's given me ways in which I can cope and move forward into the next thing. Yeah. Into the next 10 years. Yeah. And now if someone says to me all the things that I'm going to come up against, I might actually look forward to some of the challenges.
Yeah.
None of us want negativity.
No, you don't.
But challenges and things to overcome, actually there's a lot of benefit and value in that.
Yeah. No, there is. That's what I've learned as well. So, yeah. There you go.
So George as an actor, George as someone that works behind the scenes. Yeah. Where do you find that you fit most? Is acting the main thing, or is behind the scenes? Because they're two different worlds, aren't they?
They are, yeah, exactly. And I, as you said, sort of, if I could look 10 years ahead, because I'm quite an anxious person anyway, so I find that the world of behind the scenes to acting, you get more consistent work when it comes to behind the scenes than actually acting, because I've been through both. I've been that person who's waiting on the phone trying to get an audition, why is nothing coming through, to actually I like a routine and I like to know what I'm doing. So working behind the scenes, guaranteed work, even if you're not a freelance, working say with a production company, and just always in that atmosphere is
keeping you in the creative circles rather than just being at home waiting.
Exactly.
So at being an actor who is the dream and who you want to be and the main thing that you are, is that right?
Not so much. It's more I just enjoy it. I don't ever say I'm an actor.
Right.
If anytime someone asks me, "Oh, you're an actor," I'm like, no, I just do acting because I don't see myself as an actor, because for me, and this is just for myself, but I see it as a full-time thing, and I like to have George do other things in the industry as well as acting. I enjoy it. I love it, but I think as I've got older and come to realize on how much work you have to do to make it happen, that's just not in me. If I get the opportunity, I do it. Like, you know, when I worked with Richard, that was probably one of the best opportunities and my first opportunities that I've ever had. Like, as a main part, not main part, like as a speaking role. And I'm like, great, if I get those from time to time and I get a phone call saying, do you want to just be a postman? I'm cool. Like, it's absolutely fine. So probably more behind the scenes is me and where I'm at in my life and I enjoy. But again, it is that the way I was 10 years ago to the way I am now is so different as a person, and my views are different, and it's all about, I find that it's all about being content, and I'm got to that point where I'm starting to feel content at the moment. There's a few things I need to work on, but you know, it's still life lessons.
I wonder if we'll ever fully get there.
Yeah.
Because if we did fully become content, what would we do?
We just get bored, I think.
We'd become bored with that. I think it's good to have something to strive towards.
Yeah.
But to be happy day to day in what you're doing is quite an important thing and quite a good place to find yourself, I guess.
Yes. No, it is. Yeah, I agree on that.
And it's interesting that I asked you that question about who do you feel that you are? Do you feel like you're an actor or someone that works behind the scenes more? Because I disagree with that philosophy that you have to be one thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You don't have to be just an actor.
No, you don't.
You don't have to be just a writer. You can wear many different hats and you can do many different things within the creative world, can't you?
Yeah, you can. I mean, as long as you're getting involved and you're getting yourself out there, whatever you might do, it's a short film or a play, or, you want to write a TV show and you don't know where it's going to go. These days now, you can just make your own content and you can just...
There's that. You can, if you've got an idea, you can work towards making it happen quite easily these days, can't you?
Yeah, find the right equipment, the right people... self-funding, it's quite easy these days. You just got to have the drive and passion, and once you find that and be determined, then go for it.
I guess one of the things that can get in the way of that is when you like perfectionism, and you want it to be the perfect thing, that it won't necessarily start as the perfect thing. If you do you just pick up any camera and start recording something, it's not necessarily going to be great, is it? It's not going to be
when you first try.
It's not going to be a Hollywood film to start with.
Yeah.
But it can lead you on the road to that, potentially. Yeah. Better than not doing it at all.
Exactly. I mean, worked with so many people in the industry, as probably like yourself as well. And you just meet so many people where they have this vision and that's the only vision they want to do. And that's really hard to work with and deal with, and especially if you're working alongside them. So I'm more of a go with the flow. I kind of work better for myself that just go with the flow and see what happens, whether it looks shit or not, whether we can try 50 times or not. So we'll just give it a go. We'll do it until it's right.
Yeah. I think perfectionism kills creativity.
Yeah, it does.
It paralyzes it.
Yeah.
It stops it in its tracks.
Yeah.
You can't go very far if you just want to be perfect in the beginning. It is something that you have to spend a long time working towards, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
and a long time shaping and moulding that thing that you're working on.
Yeah, you can't be, perfect all the time. And as soon as you have this idea and you think it's like this is the only thing I want to do, it's perfect, then you're only setting yourself up for a fall, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the work that you do behind the scenes. You said one of your roles was...
I mean, I've kind of done,
many
things. I was a T-boy. I was,
I've seen that you've got a few running credits.
So that was really a really good experience. So I started out being a production runner, as we all do. And so what was your question again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, where is it you find yourself behind the scenes? What role is it that you're taking behind the scenes?
So when I first started out, it was production running, but I never really knew where I wanted to go after that. I just knew I wanted to be on set and, breathe that experience, meet all these new people. I loved being on set. I guess maybe that's where the acting came in, because originally growing up, I wanted to be an actor and then loved filmmaking, loved being on set. That's how I got into working in production, and then started out as a runner, and sort of as time went on and I had different production roles, I realised I didn't really want to move on to be a researcher or producer. I kind of just enjoyed doing what I was doing. But I gathered, I don't want to be like 60 and still being a runner or something. So it was just trying to find...
You explore it. It's a great role to explore, isn't it? My brother started off as a runner.
Yes,
He did many years doing that in order to explore. I think he started off with one idea of where he was going, but then it took him somewhere else.
Okay.
It took him in a different direction. It took him into the editing world. I think originally he was going to be in special effects.
Right, okay.
But then he went into editing from being a runner, and it is a great role in the industry.
Yeah.
To get involved with many different aspects of a production all at one time and go, do I fit over here, or do I fit over there, or or what does this industry look like?
Yeah, you have to explore. You have to try different things, and you have to see what you like and what you don't like, and that's kind of what I was doing really. I was sort of trying what I liked and what I didn't like, and I guess I sort of didn't really like being a researcher because I've got dyslexic and ADHD. So that time when I got given the opportunity to do a researching role, I was like, I can't do this. This is too much for me. Take it away from me. So I sort of enjoyed. But I think that's probably where I come in, in terms of my people skills. I really enjoy being on set, checking everyone's all right, making sure, do you want a cup of tea? That's kind of that. Maybe it's my Greek side as well, where I'm sort of just gathered with people, food.
People person.
Yeah.
You get mucked in the community. You get right in there. You get stuck in, and you become part of the group.
Yeah, I do. I really enjoyed it, and working on DreamHacker, it was a really great experience, and Richard saw that as well. I just was really wanting to do everything. Can I help with anything? And that's one thing I always say to people is when you start out, for me, I always find just really get yourself stuck in, offer to help, be helpful. Can I help in any way? Always have a smile on your face. Think one step ahead, because that will get you noticed. And once that gets you noticed, people talk in this industry. So that person will tell that person how, actually, when it came to Richard, in my current job, he was one of my references because I worked with him on set. I said, do you mind being my reference? And my manager at the time was like, I've just got this amazing reference from this guy called Richard. And I was like, oh, great, I'll pay you later. But that's the thing, you have to really just be happy. I've met so many people in the industry who are so, I need to get to the next step, but they're not thinking actually in the moment.
Yes.
And they always want to try and...
They're thinking too much about the future.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of anxiety lies in the future, rather than enjoying the present moment.
Yeah.
And where you are and how lucky you are to be in that space.
Just enjoy it. So that's what I've kind of found is you've got to find gratitude in that. Lucky that I'm here, grateful that I'm here. Talk and speak to as many people as you can. And eventually that will pay off. You might not feel it at the moment, but the more you get yourself out there, the more people know you. And if you're, not a dick on set or thinking that you're some sort of diva, because, I've dealt with so many runners who their arrogance are insane. I just think you're not going to if you carry on like that, you're not going to, make it if you're going to start like this early on, Yeah.
No, that only takes you so far, doesn't it? That kind of attitude. And people don't, when you're working on a creative project, that working on a film or a TV program can be quite stressful.
Yeah, it can.
There's a lot of demands, and there is some pressure to get certain things done on time, and so you have to work together. Yeah. And if your personality is negative, it's not going to work out as a group, is it?
Yeah, I always say positivity is contagious, as cheesy as it sounds, but it really is. And
so is negativity.
And it is as well, And
do you? So which do you want?
Definitely politics.
Which do you want in this thing that you're creating? What do you want this experience to be like?
Yeah.
And then I think that transfers to the audience as well. I think you can see when something has been created with heart. And creative with care and passion over something that has been creative with none of that and the opposite.
Yeah, people can see it. People aren't blind. They see straight through you. Your intentions, your actions. They get a vibe off you, don't they?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I see it a lot in theatre as well.
Yeah.
I can tell when I go and see
Why
a
is
show.
that though? Like, why is it when it comes to crazy people, just so many egos? I really don't understand.
Why is there egos?
Maybe it's, I don't know.
Because I guess doing this creative thing, it feeds your ego.
Yeah.
When you do something well,
Yeah.
you get confirmation of that.
Yeah.
So I think you have to take time to check yourself and evaluate and not go into that place of ego and being self-centered. I think you have to work on it. I think you have to actually choose to not go into that place. And I think a lot of people just don't put in the work.
They don't.
Or don't recognise it. Because ego does work for us. Otherwise it wouldn't be here, would it?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have it if it didn't always work for us. And I think there is a healthy amount of ego to have. But yeah, I don't see... I think it's always going to be there within the creative industries.
Yeah.
Because that is part of it. You do need ego.
Yeah.
But in the good ego and the bad ego,
which one do you want to be?
and literally saying that to yourself is something that not everyone does.
Yeah.
Some people don't realise
that
they've got these massive negative egos. Some people just don't. Yeah, they don't see it. Maybe they don't need to see it if they're becoming successful.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I always like to think sometimes it's about insecurity as well.
Yes.
But, I always try to sort of kill them with kindness, really. That's the only better way.
Yeah, ego can be a shield, can't it?
Yeah, it's the protection, isn't it?
It's the protection.
I mean, I've been there as well. I've had so many sort of people in my life try to tear me down. And, you go on to the next thing and you don't want it to happen again. So you become this kind of like shield,
yes.
Yeah,
and I guess that's what the ego's trying to do, is protect you.
Yeah.
The ego's trying to protect you from them negative things that have happened before. Or it can be coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
If no one else is telling you you're good at something, you need to start telling yourself that you're good at it.
Yeah. Self-worth. Conversations with yourself in the mirror. That's what I always say.
Yeah. So then then there's like this line, isn't there, between like recognizing your self-worth and then not taking that step too far, that you start taking that away from others.
Yeah.
And it starts damaging the environment that you're in, and no one wants to be around you or work with you.
No, exactly, yeah. And then soon you'd be kicked out, and then that's it,
So these things they're multifaceted. We have to look at it in different ways to work out, how is the best way to manage all of this.
Yeah.
But I think you've got a good philosophy there, killing people with kindness.
I mean, it's hard, definitely. It's not easy, but, that's the only way to do it. Because at the end of the day, you have to sort of say, well, it's not me. It's something that they have the issue with, and we don't know what people go through. We don't know everybody's story, but just as long as you're authentic in yourself and you just know how you want to treat others as well, that's the main thing. So, yeah.
So where did this start for you? Why did you decide to pursue a creative life? Why did you decide to pursue a life in film and TV?
Probably started, I think it's always in you. You kind of always get that, that feeling, that sort of the bug.
Yeah.
And something that you enjoy. And major S Club 7 fan, always dancing on the tables and stuff. So
there's a performer in there bursting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and I think it was when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of people around me to kind of guide me into that direction. It was always kind of, I'll just let George get on what he wants to do. And it was not only until my cousin suggested to my dad, I think you should send him to drama school. And I think I heard that, and I remember vividly where I was as well. And I just remember the look on my face. I was like, yes, take me. I want to go.
You just knew that
I just knew. Yeah, it was something in me. And the problem is, going back to my dyslexic, I found it very difficult when it came to the whole acting side, which is the main thing about,
I'm
being...
dyslexic as well.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
It is
so
hard.
I know the struggle.
Yeah.
And I often question and go, why did I pursue this?
Yeah.
Why did I pursue this thing where I put myself in environments where someone would hand me a script and say,
and you're
read
like,
it,
what do I do?
perform, show me your best, be your best you.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I can't make it through the words right now. How can I show you my
It's
best
not
side
it's a horrible feeling. I remember when they gave me a script on I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks in, and I was just like, I can't do it. And I went to the bathroom and I started crying because I was just like, I can't do this. And I told her, and she felt really bad, the teacher. And she then like no longer gave me script, and it was all improvisation. That was fine. So it is difficult though. That's the thing, when you start reading, do you get like jumping words or?
I just can't. Yeah, it's not that the words jump. I think my dyslexia's linked to a concentration issue.
Okay.
Whereas I look at the block of text and I'll read it out loud and just half of it will be missing.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Like it's not transferring from the page through the eyes into the brain,
yeah,
the mouth.
Yeah.
Somewhere along there, it's getting lost. And words will miss, or I'll jump a whole sentence. I've just learned to be very patient with myself.
Okay.
And just take my time, and if I take my time, I'm patient with myself, and I don't worry about others. I used to worry a lot about the judgment in the room.
Yeah.
So you put yourself into an audition situation and read, of course you're going to be judged.
Yeah.
But as soon as I stopped caring about that, I was so much better at it.
Okay, that's good.
I realised that was a massive block.
Yeah.
So what type of dyslexia I have, I don't know. But there's something that's not processing.
It doesn't
correctly.
connect.
And
yeah.
it also doesn't connect when I'm writing as well. So I'll write a text to someone and they'll send me back, what? And then I'll read back what I sent them, and I'm like, what?
Okay.
And there's something. It's also missing there in the writing as well.
Yeah.
So it's just not. I'm just not processing it. But I also think it's a superpower.
Yeah.
Being dyslexic.
It is.
I think all of these struggles are superpowers. I think it's forced me to think differently. It's forced me to analyze the text.
Yeah.
When I'm acting, I have to sit there and go through word by word very slowly in order to process it.
Right.
And it's forced me to look at the world differently as well. And some of the biggest change makers in the world are
dyslexic. I know. Honestly, when I saw the stats, I was like so happy because you do feel, again, going back to that whole not feeling alone thing, and you just think, oh great, it's not just me. And the more we talk about it, the more open it's okay. It's that going back to what you said, the judgment. You know, oh, I'm worried what they can think.
When I was at school, it was only just starting to be spoken about in the 90s, dyslexia.
Okay.
Like it had been around for longer and teachers knew what it was.
Yeah.
But when I was at school, I wasn't recognised as being dyslexic at all. And kind of, I had an assessment at school where I remember the teacher just basically saying to me, I'm slow.
Right, yeah.
I'm dumb. That was their assessment of me.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas when I went to college, I had a proper dyslexic assessment. And they were like, yeah, you're clearly dyslexic. But yeah, throughout school, I felt like I was alone and I felt like I was different. I couldn't figure out why could everyone else take the information on the whiteboard in
and you can't,
and I can't.
Yeah.
Why are they all copying the text and writing it down? Like why am I not able to do this? And then I think some children, that's where some children go into misbehaving and rebelliousness and they really find struggle.
Because they're not being heard, I guess.
Yeah.
And they feel like, well, if no one gets me, then, you've got to react in a different way, which is sad in a way. So I'm hopefully now these schools, and the more we talk about it, people can just come a bit more open, and I always just say to people, it's okay, you're okay, and that's the main thing. As long as we all feel okay, it's that reassurance, isn't it?
I always jump to, if anyone says to me, like, they say that they're dyslexic. I'm always open and like, I'm dyslexic too. It's not something that I'm afraid to hide anymore. I was for a long time, especially when I do like
especially in school. You know.
Through school. You not knowing what's wrong, but then going into this life as well. Yeah, this life where reading is such an important part of it. Yeah, it was like, right, should I hide this? But no, if you look at the world and you look at the people that have made big changes, like someone that always pops to mind, Richard Branson, a billionaire.
Oh yeah.
You know, the things that he's done in his life, and he can barely read or write.
Yeah. So he's obviously done good for himself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just one person. I can't think of it. My mind's gone blank. I can't think of any actors at the moment. But there are a lot. There are a lot of us out there. Yeah. There for sure. And so it isn't something we should hide. We should be open with it. And have you been able to find any ways in which to use that to your benefit or to cope with it better?
Yes and no. I find that when it comes to my day-to-day job, people are a bit more understanding and patient, especially if I have to write emails or I find ways to try and help and myself. So one thing is I just have to give myself patience, as you say, and it would be used in different apps, voice notes.
Do you use Grammarly?
I use Grammarly.
Yeah, I've got Grammarly on everything now.
No, and it's honestly changed my life because it literally does tell you when you're, how it helps you. Yes. And it's just having patience and, what's the thing on Google when you do the voice, you say something and then it just spells it out. Yeah. So I use that. Yeah. So it is good. So I find that it does help when it comes to work. But when I was in school, I definitely found that just kids were horrible, absolutely horrible. They were such dicks.
Of course, yeah. Kids can be. Kids don't understand. Yeah. I think we should give them some leeway because maybe they don't understand.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
It's when they turn into adults that are like that.
Yeah, and they're still the same.
And they're still the same. And a lot of those horrible kids tend to stay the same.
Yeah.
Not all of them change, but
I find that when I went into work, I knew that I was a bit more wary when it came to, I thought everyone had the same mindset. So, oh God, I better not tell them I'm dyslexic, because it will, affect my job or they might fire me or something.
What do you do for your normal job? The normal
job, normal day to day. So I work as a PA. And I work for PA for still in the entertainment industry, still TV, and that's great. I'd never been a PA before, so a year in, it's great. But my dream is always to be an office manager in a creative space. So funny enough, I've actually been accepted for an office manager job in a creative industry. Nice. So I start that in 2 weeks. And
okay, congratulations.
Thank you. After 8 years of waiting, trying to be an office manager, I felt like I was a broken record. Every time I spoke to someone on the phone, they were like, oh, George, not this again. I'm like, but you don't understand. I just want to be an office manager. So now I'm finally doing it. I'm just really happy. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. I enjoy running my own ship, and sort of being the go-to person that everyone can rely on and come to. And
it's really interesting you mentioned that about telling everyone your dream.
Yeah.
And now it's coming to fruition.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see that how important it is that we do talk about our dreams, that we do share with people. And yes, some people might be like, George again.
Yeah, exactly.
However, it's coming true.
Yeah.
By sharing.
Yeah.
Whereas for a long time, I felt quite reserved about telling people what my hopes and dreams were. Almost like I was ashamed.
Okay.
Or I'd get judgment for it because it's so unrealistic.
Yeah.
However, now that I talk about them, I'm moving closer and closer to it.
Yeah. You're manifesting. That's what I'm always saying.
Yes.
I'm a big believer of manifesting, especially with this job. It was funny because I always like to look at something. So I always say to people, the best way to manifest something is by visualizing how you want to react when you get it. And I always find hope in people who have achieved things later on in life, because I'm 32. So, it's that old saying of, if you're not 13, you don't have a house and you
Oh,
don't have kids
you
and all
don't have
that.
all these certain things. But I remember being in my early 20s and having like an end goal at 30.
Right,
Like if I
okay.
haven't made it by 30,
Then that's it. Your
then
life is
that's it.
over. Yeah.
Like these are the tick boxes. And at 30, if I haven't made it, I'm gonna go and join the police force. That
Yeah.
was my thing. And then I got to 30 and I was like, but I haven't done any of those things.
What do I do now?
Yeah, what do I
How
do?
old are you now?
I'm 39.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's an interesting place to get to.
Yeah.
To like look at, because now, like I think I've completely flipped around on that whole idea of for a little while I was worried like time's catching up on me. Whereas now, recently, I feel very much like a restart has happened.
Yeah.
Rebirth.
Yeah. I've heard that when people go into their 40s, that they're a bit more, it's like the new 30s, isn't it?
Yeah, like if I look back at like the 30s and the 20s, yeah, I did some things that I'm proud of, and I've got 2 amazing children, and life was pretty good in some parts, but also very difficult at times as well. But I look at those years as the times where I was meant to make some mistakes, that I was meant to go through some hardships,
Yeah.
so that I could live the life that I'm going to live from this point on. I wouldn't have realised that during that time.
No, yeah, it's afterwards once you realise, yeah.
Once you come out of it.
But I always say with age, like, I've only recently now, I'm going to stop and try very hard not to put things with a number because, you know, again, going back to, I always look at people who I admire or like their work and just think, well, they've managed to achieve it in their 50s, 60s. I'm obsessed with Golden Girls on Disney Plus.
Oh, really?
And one of the actress, Estelle Getty, who's like the main character of the show, she, have you seen it, by the way?
I haven't.
Okay,
No,
it's a good, funny, old American.
It's an old American.
Yeah.
I do know it.
It's like 1980s.
Yes, yeah. It was the type of thing my grandparents would have sat down and loved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know, I love it all the time.
Right,
it's like my comfort blanket. But Estelle Getty was 60, I think 61 or 62, maybe 65, I don't know. And she had never acted before. That was like her first big break. And before, she was like a secretary, a wife, looking after her 2 boys. And she only actually got her big break on Broadway at 55. So I always just say age isn't a number. You can make it any time, whatever you do. Yeah. So instead of trying to...
And there's a lot of 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds panicking.
Yeah.
Because in that, I think you come out of education and you're told for education, you must know what you're going to do with your life.
Yeah.
You must be working towards this. And then you come out and then the world's like open to you.
Yeah.
And then things don't work out for the majority of us. Things go wrong.
Yeah.
Things get put in our way. And then we're like, oh my God.
I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And I thought I was a failure.
Right.
I was like, I am a massive failure. Nothing's worked out for me. But that was so important to fail.
Yeah.
So important.
You need to fail so you can succeed, you know. Otherwise, it's like, what does J.K. Rowling say? Otherwise, you live so cautiously, you might as well not lived at all. So I always find that actually it's quite, looking back on it now, quite good that I've gone through what I've gone through. Yeah. So, yeah, no, it's good. I think growing up, you know, going back to the whole drama school thing, I just knew from that moment that's what I wanted to do and get into. And just I love performing. I love, you know, being on stage, working on set. So, yeah, that's kind of what...
So how did that transform from you love being on stage performing to now I'm going to go and find out what it's like to be behind the scenes, to be a runner?
Yeah.
Why give running a go? Why did you try that out?
I tried it out because I knew that whatever I did, I found my niche. I was about to be a hairdresser, thank God. It wasn't, no disrespect to hairdressers, but it just was not for me. I don't know. I mean, the only reason I went into hairdressing was because my dad was quite a realistic dad, and he was very much just like, just find a normal job. He was supportive, but like wasn't supportive because he knew how much, you know, being an actor, a lot of actors are out of work or...
There's no stability within the creative industries, is there?
Yeah.
If we're going to be realistic about it,
there isn't.
There isn't stability financially.
Yeah.
A lot of work that you have to do is about building towards something. that gives you, hopefully,
you do
some finances.
So I understood that from him now, as a parent. So I went to college, did hairdressing for about a year, and then I had the opportunity to be a supportive artist for the last Harry Potter film. So that was a really good experience. So I actually got
I did Harry Potter.
Oh, did you? Which one?
I did 2 of them. Goblet of Fire.
Oh, yeah.
I was part of the Quidditch team.
Oh, nice.
I was on the Bulgarian Quidditch team.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Only as an extra.
Yeah.
And then one later on, I think like the penultimate one.
The last one?
Yeah, like part 1.
Okay.
Oh no, the one before that.
Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah, I'm going for a train. I'm going to the train.
Yeah.
I'm in the train station as I'm going through the turnstiles.
Okay.
Harry Potter walks through, and then I walk through.
Oh, I have to see that.
Yeah, so I found a little clip recently and put it on my social media because I was
nice.
Yeah, I'm in Harry Potter.
It was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, did you enjoy it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes and no. Like, it's nice to say I've been part of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Part of that world, because it's loved, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much love that goes to that world. But being an extra on a film like that, I did it for experience, and I think it's really good to do it for experience. But you're just treated. I was treated like cattle.
Okay.
Like, because it was on a scene where there was 1,000 extras.
Yeah, that's true.
And the queues for the toilets were immense. You'd get your turn to get some food, and there'd be scraps left over.
Right.
And yeah, you weren't treated as a human being. Mm-hmm. And I think that happens a lot on big sets where there is a huge amount of people. So it wasn't. So I did some big films like that and some big crowd scenes, and I got to a point where I said no more.
Okay.
Something like that. I'm still signed on with extras agencies now.
Yeah.
And still get a lot of notifications come through that I just say this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that you'll turn up on that day and there'll be 500 people there.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's not a fun experience. And I don't need the experience of that anymore. I don't need to just be on a film set for just being on a film set. Or just to make £100 that day.
Yeah.
That's not for me right now.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, still nice to have been part of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's still nice to have that as a credit and just say part of the Harry Potter world.
Yeah, it's funny when I do talk to people who aren't in the industry, they flip out. It's like I'm some big celebrity. I'm like, you do realise I was only in for 2 seconds. No, it was a good experience on my end as well. But yeah, I mean, you wait around for like 8 hours or something, whatever it is.
Crazy amount.
And I think how old was I? I was 17 when I did it, so I didn't have to do school. And then actually I turned 18 on my birthday when we did the Great Hall scene. The last scene where Professor McGonagall and him are having like a duel, and then he flies out the window and like everyone's cheering.
Yes,
I did that on my 18th, so that was really cool. And on my payslip, I think the woman who I knew wrote "Happy Birthday" or something, so that was really nice. And I did that for about, I want to say 4 to 6 months.
Okay,
so completely,
you was really in it.
Like all the school scenes. Yeah, I mean, I was only in the last one, but it was probably one of the best experiences because that was my first ever major kind of proper extra role. So
you into it,
you got to speak to the cast. And did you get to speak to the cast?
Yeah, I did a little bit, and some of the cast were really nice, down to earth people. Daniel Radcliffe was on that scene that I'm in, where I'm going through the turnstile at the train station.
Yeah,
he was just in amongst all the extras, chatting to us all, and we're all getting on like we're all on the same level.
Yeah.
Whereas I did a scene in the Quidditch World Cup with all this green screen stuff, and there was another well-known actor, a young actor, that was just throwing tantrums.
Oh God!
And it was like, everyone was going, do not make eye contact, do not make eye, and so, but that goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
is I can't imagine people queuing to work with that person after what I experienced that day.
Exactly.
Where everyone's just looking down on the floor because they don't want to make eye contact.
Yeah.
And that person hasn't, even though they're a big name in Harry Potter,
they
haven't really gone on to do anything
else. People talk,
Yeah, because people are going, that person is hard work.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't need to work because they got the money.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, they're not doing much.
No. That kind of says it all, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, sometimes you just got to let them get on with it, and then you just do your thing. You know how you want to act and behave.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. I really enjoyed it, actually. Made some good friends from that. And then, yeah, I basically had to quit hairdressing because I was on it for so long. Mm-hmm. So they basically said to me, don't come back because you're basically going to fail anyway. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then I did that.
So you didn't need the backup at that point.
At that point, yeah, how funny. Even though I was an extra, I didn't need a second job because I was actually doing Harry Potter full time at that time. So yeah, that was a good experience. And then that was quite weird actually because I then went to college, and then my dad was like, because at that point I was like helping out with bills and things, and then he was like, "Well, you just got to get a job," and I was like, "But what? But I want to act." Well, like, what do you mean I've got to go and get a job? So
because if you want to be an actor, you need to keep yourself available.
Yeah.
Because this industry there's a bit of work here, there's a bit of work there.
Yeah. And if you're working full time somewhere else.
If you're working in a full time job, how can you take a sick day, take a bit of holiday? Like, it doesn't really work out. And then, like, right now I get audition notifications come through that I have to do an audition today.
Yeah.
Like, I got one at 4:00. It has to be with them tomorrow by 10:00.
Right, okay.
Like, and that's the turnaround of this industry.
It's very quick.
It's very quick. And if you're doing a full-time job, how does that even begin to fit in?
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got I think if that happens, you have to find a company or some sort of way to make it work, even if it's like go on your lunch break, or I guess if you do have to take half a day, but it just really depends on sort of your work
for me,
schedule.
The only way I've been able to pursue it for as long as I did or have done is be self-employed.
Right, okay.
Is have my own business and decide my own hours.
Sure.
Because it never worked out for me when I was working for someone else.
Yeah.
Because when you're working for someone else, how does that fit into
it is really
their
hard.
agenda? They're paying you a salary.
Yeah.
And then you've got to do that job for that salary.
So
I just keep disappearing.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. I'm just trying to think now in terms of the job that I'm going to be doing at the moment, because being an office manager is full time and it is a full time contract. So does that mean I might have to then take holiday if I get an opportunity? But that's where I feel like I've kind of got a healthy balance where I don't have to do this all the time. Yes, it would be nice to be like on EastEnders for like a year contract or something like that. If I get that opportunity, I'll take it. But I'm just all about experience and grateful for whatever, I could be the milkman for all I care. If like Richard wants me to in his next film and he wants me to be the postman, I will be the postman and I will be the best one, so I'm just kind of grateful. But yeah, no, going back to kind of how I sort of got started in that. So yeah, once I was doing Harry Potter, I was at college at the same time as well. And then I just got a full-time job. I just worked in a shop. And I knew that point I wanted to do it, but I didn't know how to get into it. I couldn't find an agent. I was only with Extra Works, and I was like, yeah, but I want more. Like, I want like speaking parts. And I remember actually someone in school, and I still remember this story to this day. He came into the shop and he was like, "Oh, you work here now?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like a dick because I'm gay as well, so like he was proper like, homophobic. And he was like, "Oh, so I see that you got to work on Harry Potter and now you're working in the shop." I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, but don't worry, I'll make it one day, And that, look at me now, I did. So
And what's that person doing with them? Like the people that do that, they're often the ones that aren't really doing much with their life.
Exactly.
They're exactly the same place.
Yeah.
Because they have to project onto everyone else.
Yeah.
Their disappointment within themselves. It's like that whole ego thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, they're just projecting their disappointment. They haven't achieved anything, so I must highlight what you're struggling with in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way to look at it, because otherwise you have two choices. You can get really annoyed by that, or just look at it like reverse psychology and just kind of go, well, what do you really feel inside, know? So, yeah, that's that really.
Yeah. So. And having, I don't think we put enough, like, as a society, I don't think we put enough value on having hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
There are too many people that try to crush them.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
There's too many people that try to look down on it and say, "Oh, well, you've not made your dream, your big dream."
Well, what's interesting about that, working behind the scenes as well, you know, I think whether you're an actor or just working as a production runner, you're always going to find someone, no matter who it is, just is threatened by you, you know. And I had an experience where I worked for a organisation, and clearly I was very good at the job, and I was really shining through in every way you can imagine. And I had that dream to be an office manager. I knew it. I thought I made it at that point. And I just kept on getting knocked down all the time, you know, very narcissist, gaslighting behaviour, to the point where I was just like, I know what's going on here. Why is it that everyone around me thinks I'm amazing, but you don't? You know, you're meant to be the one that's supposed to be helping me get to that next level. So kind of clearly shows. But I find that every job that I do at the moment, there is a reason why I do it. So you could be put in a very dark, horrible situation, but there is a reason why you are there. And how I got started actually working with Richard's film was, so I was working for this organisation, and, you know, I think it was like 6 months in, and I was just like, oh, just why is this taking forever? Like, I need to get there. Like, I've been struggling now for, I think at that time it was maybe 3 years in, and I was just like, I'm still not an office manager. Why is this not happening? But I'm glad I stuck to it, because actually if I wasn't with that organisation, I wouldn't have met all the people that I met. So, and this is why I always say to people, if you're doing something, trust the process, because if you trust the process, it will take you to where you need to be, whether you meet someone. So I always like to look at it like a timeline, and my life is like a connecting dot.
Okay.
So the reason why I was in that company, I think to this day, was one, to learn how to be the best office manager and have self-worth and respect myself. But two, so I got a phone call from this lady who was an agent, and she represented presenters. And at this point in my life, I had no contacts. I had no agent, no one in the industry that I didn't know. So I was completely like, where do I even begin to be an actor? And she called me up, and she was like quite flustered because it was during the pandemic as well. And she was like, oh God, I thought like no one was going to be in. Like, I'm really like stressed out. And I thought, I was ringing. I was like, and at that point I was running around like a headless chicken, like trying to make sure we had enough toilet roll or something like that at that point. You know how everyone went crazy for like toilet roll? I was like trying to go and making sure like the building had toilet roll. That was my life at that point. And she called me up, and she was like, oh, I see that you make shows, and I want to introduce you to some of my clients that I represent. So I said, okay, well, the only thing I can do is I can just take your email address, and I can just pass it on to like the productions and stuff. And she was like, yeah, great. And then I think we were talking for a good couple of minutes after that, and I had this weird thing in my head where it was like a voice, and it said, ask her if she knows any agents. So I thought, okay, let me trust that process. And I said to her, do you know any agents? Because I'm an actor, and I've been trying to get myself back into it. Like, I did Harry Potter, I did a couple of extra stuff. So I'm trying to get back into it. And she said, well, I know this guy, and he's not an agent, but he's a producer, and he makes his own stuff. And because you've kind of helped me, I'm all about helping people. So he owes me a couple of favors. So I'll like see what I can do. And then 2 days later, I had a chat. Shall I say the name? I can say the name. Yeah. Tony, who also is working with Richard and Dream Hacker, who's probably is the guy who gave me my break, which I'm so grateful for. He called me up, and he said, yeah, that's fine. I've spoken to her. You seem like a cool guy. Like, send me a show reel, see what we can do. And then I think within like an hour, he called me up, and he was like, yeah, I want you to come and play this role. Like, it's a small role, but you can do it. I was like, okay, how's just all this happening in like 2 days? Like, it was really, I was quite overwhelmed, to be honest. And then on the day I was meant to film with them, I got gastroenteritis, and I ended up in hospital. I'm not even joking.
Something
out of
nowhere and put a pause
on
things.
Yeah, I was meant to be, I think, when was it? I was meant to be doing an evening shoot with them, and I woke up on the Friday like sick to my stomach, and I was like, how has this happened? So I was on the floor, like barely could move. My dad was like, right, that's it, we're going to A&E. And I was like, but I can't, like, I've got this opportunity, and I hate to do it, but I had to text him and say, I'm really sorry, I can't come, I'm actually ill. And then we had a conversation after I got better, and I don't know what it is, he just decided to give me another chance. And then I think, thank God, actually, I did the second role that he offered me, because actually, I think if I hadn't have done that role, I wouldn't have met the makeup artist who was scheduled for that day to work.
Even though it felt really bad in that moment, and like you've just thrown away this massive opportunity, everything worked out for the best.
Yeah, exactly. And because I met her and we became good friends after that, she then invited me to all of these like not work conventions, like, you know, these acting conventions, screenings and all that sort of stuff. And then I ended up doing Dreamhacker as well, and another film with Richard and Tony, and that was a really good opportunity because I played a transgender person, I was a cross-dresser, and that was a really good role for me, and even Tony was like, you pulled that off quite well. So I think, and also I worked on set for about a week helping out. I bought donuts on my first day, just you know, trying to make a good impression. And
clearly you did leave a good impression with my brother.
Yeah.
That he's given you this shining
reference. Yeah, exactly.
That he probably doesn't even remember that first moment of you not being well.
Yeah, no,
you know,
exactly.
Because everything worked out nicely.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
No,
I do want to go back on something that you mentioned, because this is something that within these conversations that I'm having with people, creatives, you mentioned about a moment where things changed for you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a voice in your head.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that voice. Where do you feel like that comes from?
Weirdly, I always say I'm kind of psychic. Maybe it's the Pisces in me, I don't know. But I've always trusted my gut, whether that's, you know, meeting somebody, going on a date with somebody, you know, realizing it's not going to work, or just even an opportunity. But I'm a big believer on things happening for you and at that time. So I think it's definitely important to listen to that voice. Sometimes it's a gut instinct, you know, sometimes you know in that moment. I mean, from that phone call, thank God I did take that phone call, because I think that day I wasn't even taking phone calls because, you know, but even that, I just picked it up. So I feel like listening to that voice and that gut instinct, just go with it and see what happens. And then what's worse that's going to come out of it? They're going to say, no, sorry. And then at least you've asked. You know, I'm always going up to people on the street being like, hey, do you want to be in my short film? And they're like, who are you? And I was like, here's my profile. So, you know, I'm like legit and stuff. But yeah, I think it's really important to really listen to your own intuitive, and you kind of, I feel like I've been in the game now for a while. So you start knowing how to play it, you know, and that voice really changed my life, because I think if it wasn't because of me having that feeling of, let me just ask, I don't think I would have been here today. I don't even think I would have known you. Cause
no, you'd have definitely gone on a different path.
Yeah.
You definitely wouldn't be in this space right now.
No,
What that looks like, we don't know. But I do think, I think you're right. Listening to that intuition, listening to that voice of guidance in your head, there is something helping us along the way, I think.
Yeah.
And where that comes from, whether that's ourselves, whether that's us, you know, somewhere in our mind that we're able to work these things out and we know what's best, or whether it's something a little bit more spiritual, maybe, as well. Maybe we're being guided, and nudged along in a way that's best for us.
And I feel like even if you're in a situation right now and just think everything's so dry, I can't believe it, I'm never going to get out of this situation, but actually you being there is for the reason, you know.
When you say dry, like nothing happening in life, like
yeah,
quite
you know, we all feel like that, you know. You do have.
We talked about being alone, didn't we? Like, that there's them moments, but actually, it's quite important to be in those spaces.
It is, yeah.
I think my life, I had about 2 years ago I had a moment where I was completely alone for 2 or 3 weeks, and that's where my life changed.
Yeah.
I did nothing at all. Didn't like answer the phone to people, didn't make any effort to go outwards, and yeah, that's where everything restarted for me.
Yeah.
After this moment of pause, and a lot of people talk about that time during COVID as well, where we had that forced pause, where we was forced to stay at home, and we was forced to like stop doing the things that we do every day, and people took that as a moment to redirect, and restart.
Yeah. So maybe it's something, a negative situation for maybe others is a positive, because it really, when you stop, it really gets you thinking, okay, where am I going to go? And I think from that decision, you can literally change your life, because you're in that moment of, I'm pausing, right? I've got everything in control now. Where am I going to go? All right, I'm going to do this and see what happens. I've got nothing to lose, Yeah. So, yeah, no, it's definitely important for sure.
And we've touched on a bit your hopes and dreams for the future. We know you're moving into your dream in the next couple of jobs. You're moving into that dream job. But on a more personal level, what does the dream look like for the future for you?
I think it's definitely about being content for sure. I mean, I love the fact right now that I have created this personality that I'm definitely well liked and respectful and work really hard. And I know that. And it took a while to get there because, I'm such a people person and people pleaser as well. And I think it definitely goes through school about, nobody liking me, picked on for being gay. But as I've kind of got older, you kind of start knowing your worth a little bit. So, yeah, I think right now where I'm at, the dream is hopefully, all good on this end. I still worry. I still overthink.
There's a bit of trepidation.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly.
Can I say that it's good? I think you can.
I think
say
it's
that
good.
It's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I think again, when we say about like sharing our dreams and that's how you make them come true.
Yeah.
Also saying life is good.
Life is good.
That's part of making it good.
It feels weird to actually sit to say actually things are going good. I think because for about 4 or 5 years, my entire life was literally falling apart. Like everything you imagine, I had to quit both of my jobs for different circumstances. Completely broke. Like had no money to my name. Lost a lot of people in my family, and at that point, I just kind of gave up on people. Really, I sort of had enough of the fakeness. And again, it's going back to what you said. I took that time to really sit down and go, right, how can I change this? I need to be on my own for now to figure it out. And that's self-love, really, because I loved myself to say, no, I need time to myself and work it out. So where I'm at the moment, because I've got that office manager role, and also when I quit the first job and I went into a second job into a different organization, it wasn't in the industry that I'm in now. It was something completely different. So that also taught me I can do other things. I thought, everyone for me, I just thought to myself, I think I know I want to be in this industry, but it's okay to do other things. As long as I'm in a creative space, I mean, I can never be a lawyer or a dentist, which is fine. It's just not really for me. But as long as I'm in the creative industry, that's where my happy space is. And that's my happy content. And it's just
Why do you think creativity gives that to you?
I find for me that it's just something that I'm naturally passionate and born to do. As cheesy as it sounds, but I really believe that there is a reason why we're drawn to stuff, and there is a reason why we follow a path into that direction, and it's just because that's in us. If I was a young kid and all my dream was to be a police officer, then I would have headed down that direction. But I just knew, again, going back to that voice, I knew that acting and, filmmaking and, whatever that may be, I knew that was always something that I was drawn to do. And there's been times where I could have given up and just been, do you know what, screw this, I'm going to go and work in a hairdresser's shop, as I was meant to,
It could, sometimes it feels like there could be an easier way.
Yeah, there could be, but there's something why we stick to it, and that voice always says, don't give up, and it's not about being successful. I will say that to people. You see so many people who, have success in their own ways, but it doesn't mean their success and your success is different. Like, even you doing this podcast, you should be extremely proud of it, because that's something you're very successful and you're doing it. It doesn't,
and it's hard to, because I think we're kind of told, we have to measure success on monetary gain, or value. Of a lot of people look at social media now and they go. I had a conversation with some producers recently that all they were interested in were the numbers.
Yeah, it's the number.
How many followers have you got? And that was it.
Yeah.
And it's like, really, what is the value of that compared to everything else that I've achieved in the past year?
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't match up at all.
Yeah.
And we got to the point that I actually said to them, working with you guys is not for me, because our belief system is somewhere different.
Yeah.
Like, they had no interest in talking about the quality of the content that I'm producing. They just wanted to know numbers. Yeah. And I was like, that's not what I'm about. That's not me. That's not what... That's everything that I'm against in seeking creativity. Yeah. That's everything that doesn't align with me. So, we don't match.
Yeah, that's the thing,
And I think that's okay to do that sometimes with people.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm working on a short film, hopefully, at some point this year. And I know that it's not going to be one of those where I have a big space like this and, big cinema screen, even if I just do it at my local pub. That's
but
success.
The value that will give to your life,
and
the connections that will continue to give you, into moving you forward into the next thing, is almost priceless.
It is, yeah.
All of that.
You just got to be proud of even just the small stuff, really. So I feel like at the moment, the dream is right now just focus on the job that I'm doing, enjoy doing acting from time to time, making my own content, doing things like this, just getting yourself out there, being authentic, really.
What a wonderful way to move forward.
Yeah. No, and find a nice husband.
Find a nice husband.
So,
that's another subject. That can be quite tricky. Finding the right people
dating
to do life
is just it's horrendous these days, especially in the gay community. I mean, I love
even in the straight community.
Oh, is it still the same? I don't know.
I recently dabbled in dating and found it horrible.
Yeah,
I found there's so much resistance out there in people willing to be open and people willing to. There feels like there's a lot of people have got their walls up.
Yeah, they have,
and it will take a lot of work to get through those walls with people. People are very defensive.
They are, aren't they? I'm quite an open person. Maybe that's probably why I scare people, because I literally am that person. All right, I want to get married one day. What's your situation? And they're like, whoa, it's only the first date.
However, being like that, I think you'll find the right person.
Yeah.
You'll find the person that's not scared of that.
Yeah.
And you'll keep the people that aren't aligned for that away from your path.
Yeah.
The people that go, I can't believe you just said that the first time we met, then they're the people that are not right for you.
Yeah.
But it is hard to
it's hard. Once you're in that moment, you're like, oh crap, I've screwed that up, haven't I? So, no, it's good though. I feel like, everything, again, kind of going back to what we were saying about, the industry and feeling, the dream and stuff. I always say to people, it's always good just to look at what you've done, even if you might not feel, success in your eyes, but to other people, they will remind you that actually you are success. I've had conversations with many of my cousins, and they're like, George, you have to realise actually you've done good.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just look at it and go, oh, I know, but I haven't done this and I'm still here. But actually, it's that it takes that one person to say, no, actually, you are doing good. I
had a really interesting thing that happened to me on the weekend. I spent all weekend editing. I just done this film festival.
Okay.
Where I did 17 podcasts in 3 days.
Wow.
So 17 of these
in 3 days.
In 3 days. And then, that wasn't even the hard bit. The hard bit was actually sitting down at the computer and putting all that together. And editing them. And I sat down all weekend putting these 17 podcasts together. And when I say all weekend, I mean like I had like 3 hours sleep. I was just in the zone. And
Did you have a voice as well at that point?
Did I have no. And come the end of it, I was like, oh my God, like, am I delusional? Like, is there something wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Yeah. No one's paying me at this point of the journey.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any monetary gain, and maybe we overvalue that. But yeah, I start questioning myself and going, I'm nuts. Like, I'm putting all this time and effort into this. Maybe I shouldn't be. And then I picked up my phone and I got a text message from someone that I did one of the podcasts with at the film festival, saying how much he admires what I'm doing.
Oh, that's
and
good.
That he'd been looking in from the outside, and it said, I admire your determination and tenacity.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm like, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
To just give me that little bit of boost to keep me going on with this.
Yeah.
To keep me pushing forward. That actually that was worth more than any amount of money that I could have been paid for that time.
Exactly.
You know,
it's that sort of pinch on the shoulder.
Yes.
You know, you need that. Yeah. It'll pick you up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what that was. And that's it. I think that's an important message, that if you know someone that is doing something, and he's trying hard at something, tell them.
Yeah, it doesn't take hard to reach out just to say, you know, hey, you're doing good. You're just checking in. Yeah. People forget that these days, I find. Yeah.
And I think that will help with relationships, you know, outside of the creative stuff that we're doing as well.
Yeah.
That'll help bring people together, won't it? If we recognise what each person is doing.
No, exactly. Do you have any pet peeves? I'm just curious now.
Pet peeves?
Yeah.
In what sense?
I don't know, just kind of like...
Pet peeves. Tell me more. What do you mean by that?
Well, the only reason I asked was just because, you know, when I said about checking in, one of my pet peeves is when I don't get a response after.
Oh, when you text someone and nothing. No, I'm fairly like laid back with other people and how other people are, because I came to the conclusion that none of that's about me.
Okay. Yeah.
I get it. I get upset every now and then when I'm involved quite a lot in the amateur theatre community in this town.
Okay.
There's about 6 or 7 groups. And there is some negativity there by some individuals. That is something that gets me.
Yeah.
And recently I had to say to some, because I look after this place, I run the charity that keeps this building open.
Yeah.
Someone tried with me to start an argument.
Okay.
And I got an email from them, and I thought, I can't reply to this officially, so I'm going to speak to this person. And I just said, don't even try it. I'm not I can respond to this email, or not. You know,
which one do you want from me?
Which one do you want? And I'm suggesting that we pretend you never sent that, because you know why you sent it.
Yeah,
you know what you was trying to do. I just think about it and text me later saying if you'd like a response or not.
Okay, I think that's a good answer.
You know.
Yeah.
And then they can just, and I guess that's my pet peeve. Is if someone tries to push me.
Okay.
Like if someone tries to get because I'm trying to live a positive life.
Yeah.
If someone wants the negativity out of me.
Yeah.
Then I will give them an opportunity to. Yeah. To take it back.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I always say, like, I'm the nicest person. Like, I will literally go out the way to, like, say, for example, you know, you win something and you're, like, really proud of it. I would literally be like, hey, what's your address? I'm going to send you something. Like, that's just who I am as a person. But push my buttons and try me. Yeah. That's when I switch, you know. But, you know, I think that's, you know, we have that in us, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But...
As we, this has been a wonderful conversation, by the way.
It has, I
really do appreciate it. There's a new thing that I'm doing with the podcast. Yeah. So I did a podcast with someone this morning.
Okay, great.
And I introduced this new thing that I'm trying out. I don't know if it'll work.
Okay.
But it's a question from my last guest to you. Yeah. Now, she doesn't know you. She doesn't know what you do. Okay. All she knows is you're a creative.
Yeah.
And so her question was to a creative, what is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, and I have to answer it.
You don't have to answer anything.
No, it's fine. I can answer it. Is that the question?
That is the question.
Okay.
Yeah. What is your biggest fear as a creative?
In the industry as well, just biggest fear.
You want to take it.
Okay, so it's a good question. I have thought about this. Probably I can think of two. So biggest fear in the industry is for me, and maybe it's my issue, but it's been represented in a different light. Mm-hmm. Whether that's from someone else or I didn't intend to come across like this, but I did, and just have someone has that perception on me. So that's that. And then, it's not so much, a big fear, never work again or never act again. As I said, I'm grateful for whatever I get. But biggest fear for me is, actually, this sounds quite morbid, but I don't mean it to be quite morbid. But actually, it's kind of like dying young. Because I think I have so many people around me who have died young that I just find it quite sad, Yeah. I want to be able to live life and enjoy life, and but you never know what's around the corner. So, to end that on a positive note.
That's really interesting you say about the death thing, because that was one of my biggest struggles for a long time.
Okay.
I was haunted by death.
Were you?
Yeah. I looked after my wife, who was really ill. She's had 4 cancers.
Oh God!
And I got 2 young children, and I just couldn't get this thought of death out of my mind, and I literally felt like it was following me.
Yeah.
Every single day. Until I did this thing of living in the present moment. Whereas if I was thinking of death, that was living in the future.
Yeah.
Death is a guarantee.
Yeah.
This is all going to end for us all at some point.
Yeah.
But right now we're alive.
Yeah, exactly. Just live in the present.
And right now, the people that you love are alive.
Yeah.
So enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, when you come to that moment of it ending,
yeah,
you won't have anything to look back on.
No, exactly.
Other than sadness, and that's all I was building was sadness. Through doing that thing of getting caught up on death.
Yeah, you just got to live in the moment. Yeah. But there you go.
Why do you think she asked that? Do you think it's something that possibly we all have these similar fears?
Yeah, I think so. I think us as humans, we probably tend to worry more than we always look at the worst outcome than we do at the positive. And I always say it's much more harder to be positive than it is, worrying or being negative. It's probably I'm not sure, but it's a very good question, though.
It is a good question. It is. And so what question would you have for my next guest that's a creative?
That is another good question. I would probably say you probably have to cut this because I actually need to think. That is a good question.
We can take time to have a think for a moment and come back to it.
Come back to me. Yeah, let's carry on talking a little bit more just to kind of get used to it. Yeah.
So from this point then, so we've gone through your journey. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I said at the beginning of this, when you messaged me, you said there's some points that you really wanted to share. Was there anything in your journey that you wanted to share to others? Was there something that you specifically wanted to say to people coming up in the industry? Is there any kind of advice that you have for anyone?
Yeah, no, I think when you're starting out, whether it is behind the scenes or being an actor, probably one good tip that I've always learned is just absorb it and learn and be grateful that you're doing it, even if you feel at that moment like, why am I doing this? I should be doing that, because it took me a long time when I was doing running. I was a runner for a good couple of years, and all I kept on doing was making tea. I was like, towards the end, I was like, I'm not learning anything. But actually, it's the contacts that you make, because one day you will go to that person and say, hey, listen, can I help with this? Or I need help with this. Can you advise me? Or, and they're like, yeah, sure. We know how you like to work. So I always just say to people, just do what you can, even if you feel like you're doing it a million times. Just carry on doing it until you're seen. So that's my advice, really.
And is there anything different that you would have said to yourself when you were starting out in the industry?
Probably would say enjoy it a bit more. I think I was very much like, I want everything now, and why is this not happening? And especially in drama school as well. Looking back on it, I think I saw it in a different way to how I see it now. Back then I saw it as, well, why am I not getting all the opportunities? To now, I was like, wow, every Christmas I was on stage. Mm-hmm. Even if I was the backup dancer, I got to be on stage every day at Christmas and perform shows. So the difference between those two perceptions is, it hopefully goes to show I'm a bit more grateful now. I'm a bit more, feel a bit more kind of like I've done that, So yeah.
Great.
There we go.
Well, this has been a brilliant conversation, George.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot from you today.
Yeah.
Which I really do appreciate. Did we have a question to wrap this up on for the next guest?
Okay, yeah. In terms of the creative, if you could have the opportunity to really make something your own and call it the best experience of your life, what would it be?
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, that's a good question. All right.
That's a good question. Great question to follow this on with. So thanks again, George.
No, anytime. It's been fun.
If anyone wants to find out a bit more about you, where can they find you?
Facebook.
Facebook's your best place.
Yeah, if you've got anyone on your Facebook page, just add me.
Yeah.
You can definitely. I'm not really public when it comes to my Facebook, actually, because even though I should, but
it's a good way to connect with you.
Yeah.
It's a good way to network.
Exactly. Yeah. So come say hi and we can talk.
Great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thanks so much.
If anyone was watching or listening, I appreciate you for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you very much.
And thanks again.
Thanks again. Cheers.